DD-SOOS, where we do drugs.
And stay out of school.
Ooh, we're like professional now. I'm digging this.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Alright, so this is an audio-only episode for now. Well,
don't like
forever.
looking at my face and myself.
I was like, for now, like, we're gonna,
Yeah.
like, film later and, like, that would work.
Yeah. It's just a lot easier to have the one recording.
Plus, it is 12 p.m. I was gonna say, it's in the morning.
Yeah.
It's afternoon.
It's 12 a.m. right now.
I mean,
everybody.
last night, Sam had
Oh, yeah.
some stuff to do, so when she got here, it was late, and we were tired. We're like, I can't
Yeah, we
do
were going
it.
to record last night, but I just was not in the right mental
We were
state
having
for
some
that.
computer difficulties, so we just decided to put it off until this morning, where
Yeah.
we have to leave in exactly an hour to get where
Oh,
we
wow.
need to go. Excuse me.
At least we have time, you know, we're not
Yeah.
in complete hurry.
Yeah, we're not. We have an hour. We're
Still
good.
hang out with the microphone for a little bit. Oh, and we have drinks.
We have drinks because we're professionals.
We're not just making gross mouth sounds. Oh god.
like
no.
lip smacking. Gross.
We
We-
want views, remember?
We came in and we sat down with our cups and we're like, wow,
Yeah,
we
like
look
this
fancy.
is real professional. Maybe we should have. Oh wait, no, I haven't even.
What? Oh, you dropped coffee on your pad.
Yeah.
Notepad.
Yeah, I have a notepad now instead of styrofoam to draw on, so I
Yeah,
don't
'cause
bother
it's just like
everybody.
squeak, 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 squeak,
Yeah.
squeak, squeak.
Styrofoam sounds. Yeah, this is officially the end of the era of styrofoam.
Yes, maybe we'll bring it back sometime for the nice white
think
noise in
anyone
the
would like that.
background,
Yeah.
but
They're
probably
like, Please don't.
not.
No one will miss you, styrofoam.
Yeah, when we're making podcasts, it's kind of hard to like regulate the noise where you are,
Yeah.
especially being in the like in my house because we record in my house. In my house.
This is my house.
Well, because we have a lot of animals here. I have 2 dogs, which both bark. We have 10 cats that run around and go crazy. My mom's working like during the day, so she'll be on the phone and
2
you know,
very loud
like
birds.
doing stuff and and 2 very loud birds, and like we live right on a main road too. So
yeah.
during the day, at least we get like big trucks and semis that pass.
It's been pretty quiet this morning.
It
so
has
let's hope
been.
there's
It's
no
been
interruptions.
it's been pretty quiet, but sometimes it does get a little hectic when you're trying to do stuff. So I was worried about trying to record during the day, but it's really not that bad.
And that's kind of the subject for today, mostly. It's just, you know, the process that we go through and all the things that we've done just to get these out on the internet. You know, it's a lot harder than you'd think it would be.
Definitely a lot harder. I give a
thought it
lot
would
of
be
credit
really,
to
really easy.
yeah, I give a lot of credit to like content creators because it's hard to create the content.
Like, I can imagine what people go through on YouTube who make, like,
Who have to
very
have
long
like
series.
scheduled
Yeah,
videos
that's
and
crazy.
stuff, and people like it.
And then they take long breaks and people freak out, like,
Yeah.
they owe them something. Like, if someone were to do that to me, like, not saying that, like, I'm as popular as, like, Jenna Marbles or whatever, of course not, but,
like with their fan base, you
I
know,
can't
imagine
believe
getting like
you could
50.
get angry about something.
Imagine
about
getting
that.
like 50 hate mail emails in a
God.
day because you were a day late uploading or something. Like, I can't imagine that. I mean, you have to think
sad.
about, like, having the right area to do what you need to do, having it end up be good quality content, making sure the audio
Yeah.
is right, video's right.
Yeah, we've recorded, like, an hour of footage before, and it's unusable.
It's unusable. Maybe not because of, like, the quality, but because of technical difficulties. Files get transported or, like, exported in the wrong way. Things get, like, garbled up when you put them onto the computer
or, like, we
when
say
you put them
something
in
that
editing.
we don't want out in the world, you know?
Yeah, and then
Just
you
simple
try to
things.
edit it out, and it's just choppy, and
Yeah.
it's like, at that point, you just gotta
You,
stop.
yeah, you just have to start over.
Like, the very first, I think the first 2 or 3 podcasts that we ever recorded, like, at the very beginning, we put the first one out originally, and then I ended up taking it down when we started, like,
Oh, yeah.
putting up better material. Because I had to go back and, like, cut so much out of it because of, one, we were rambling, because, like, we were just laughing, and, I mean, we do that now, but, like, it was
Intense.
extreme.
It's like we were just talking to each other.
Yeah, like,
basically.
we weren't really used to it yet, so, like, Sam said her address in
Oh
one
my
part, and I
God.
was like, you cannot say that.
Like, the exact place where I
Yeah,
live,
really,
the city, real names.
And we were saying
It was a
people's
funny
real
story,
names
though. But yeah,
and
we were
stuff.
using, like, yeah.
Like, and, like, that's not fair to anyone. Even if we think it's
No.
funny, you can't, like, put people's info up,
Yeah.
you know? Especially with a fan base that's, like, your community
It's
or
completely
your
one-sided.
friends.
Yeah, like, they don't get to have a
Exactly.
say in what I'm saying about them. Like, it's completely
Yeah.
up to me. I could say anything I want.
Even if you hate someone, I don't think you should put their name out.
No. Like, even if they, I don't know, maybe not. I was about to say if they abused you, but no. That's extreme.
Well, because sometimes you hear people, like, on the internet be like, oh, I'm not even scared to say their name. I'll say their name. And then they just say it, and it's like, it's not about that.
You. Yeah, it's about them.
Even if you want people to, like, go attack them, it doesn't matter.
That's messed up.
I
People
know.
who, like, tell them, like, go to their page and, like, comment mean things and whatever. Like, they send a witch hunt after them. That's really messed up, I think.
It's dumb. Plus, I mean, you have to assume that
Like
at least
YouTube
some of your
battles.
fan page, that, like, you have to assume that some of your audience is going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
Even if you say, please don't go attack this person.
Yeah, like, you can't control their behavior.
Yeah.
So it's better to just not give them their information in the first place.
Exactly. Like on, like, Joe Santagato's podcast.
Especially
like
since I was talking about, like, something personal that happened to me and that I was very upset about.
Yeah. Like, and like on Joe Santagato's podcast from Danny Lay Prairie for the Basement Yard, when they talk about someone in particular, I really like how they do it. I mean, there's other people
Well,
do
do
this
they,
way
like,
too,
make
but
different characters based on their personality?
they just say, like, a friend of ours or this person I know who shall remain nameless or will not, like, say their name or anything. Like, they clearly state that so that they don't.
Yeah.
And then just say, like, they or, like, she,
I
or,
think
like,
what we
him
should
or...
do is, like, different people, if we're talking about, like, kind of something similar that happens, we should make different characters
Yeah.
for that thing we don't like. Like,
That's
a
funny.
cheating boyfriend, you could make him
Bob.
Dickwad.
Yeah, or, like, so, suppose a dickwad
Yeah.
was a dickwad.
Or I could, like,
I do like that idea.
call them something that they would know who I'm talking about, but no one else would.
Like, fuck waffle.
Like, Cherry BLK.
I was thinking JFK in my head when you said that.
No, that's just- yeah. He was a very heavy smoker. That's all I'll say about that.
But,
You know who I'm talking about.
I
if
don't,
he's listening.
Oh, right.
He doesn't really listen to podcasts though, so
Well,
not
you
that
don't have
kind
to
of
worry
person.
about
You
that.
know, he just listens to like the same 5 songs.
Wow, that's lame.
Yeah.
But
know why I
I
ever
don't
dated
think
him,
it's.
honestly.
I don't think that it's appropriate to call out people's name, or just, like, even if you're on good terms with somebody,
Yeah.
you probably shouldn't put out their name either.
Yeah, like
especially
they don't want
if
to
you
be
didn't
out
ask.
in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if they're not in the
Unless they're a
podcast with you.
co-host. A co-host, yeah.
Well, you made a new word. Well, you're a coast. We're coasts.
We're ghosts.
Coast. I like that.
On the beach.
Like, we talked about one of my previous friends, and we said his name, and it wasn't,
Oh, yeah, I
like,
remember that.
bad. We were talking about, like, a good thing. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess it was about drugs, but it wasn't, like, a negative thing
It's just
against
something
him.
that they probably wouldn't want out in the world.
Yeah, and, I mean, they clearly know who you're talking about, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, if you really wanted to find them, you could, with the information that we
Yeah. And it's and plus, not so much about, like, finding someone else that you're talking about online and, like, tracking them down or expecting your audience to do that. We want your focus to remain on us.
That's true.
No,
yeah.
we want all your attention. No, but, like,
It's
we
not-
want,
yeah.
this is our show. You know what I mean? We don't need to
It's not
bring
drama,
other...
it's not gossip.
Yeah,
like,
we
we
don't need
talk
to
about
bring-
people sometimes, but that's because they're part of our lives.
Yeah, so we want the focus to remain on us and not bring anybody else into, like, our mix without their
Yeah.
permission or anybody else's permission or, like, cross any lines. So it's better to just, like, keep it as us.
Like, as inappropriate as it is, it needs to stay, behind the line when it comes to that.
Yeah, I've had a couple of my friends who listen to the podcast ask to be, like, guest stars on the show.
That could be fun.
It
Because I
could
wanted
be,
that to happen with the person that we said the name in the last podcast. That
Yeah,
we did
yeah.
Yeah, I wanted that to happen because that could have been fun. They were already over here. It would have been really convenient, but they were busy, so that didn't work out.
And I would definitely like to have guests eventually, but I said no to a couple
Or
people.
collaborations.
Yeah, collaborations are great
That's something
too
to
with
look
other
forward
podcasts.
to in the future, yeah. We've been thinking about doing that with a few people.
Mm-hmm.
Like other small podcasts.
But I do think that when you're having guests on, or extra people on your show, it should be something, like, incited by the owners.
Yeah.
It should be something incited by us. You can't come to someone and say, "Can I be a guest on your show?" you don't call Dr. Phil and be like, I want to be on your show.
Like you do, but
well, I guess
that's
you do,
different.
but that's
Dr. Phil is huge.
Yeah, and not good. But like, you know what I mean? Like, not like a
Dr. Phil. I know we just said that this isn't a drama podcast, and sorry to change the
No,
subject.
that's
I know you're
fine.
in the middle of a story, but according to the internet, like, this is just what they've said. So I don't know if
According
this
to
is
the
true,
internet.
but this recovering alcoholic was on his show, and in the hotel room he was staying at, it was like they left like gifts and treats for him, and a lot of those gifts and treats were booze, like in baskets in his room. Like, that's really messed up. And some people theorized they were trying to get him to relapse so they could create drama on the show.
Speaking of which, because I'm gonna like kind of go off with this too. So here's one situation where I'm going to put someone's not information, but they are a YouTube creator. You can go watch them. That's a little different. But there's a YouTube channel called Squirmy and Grubs, and it's a couple, and it's Shane and Hannah, and Shane has spinal muscular atrophy, where he's disabled, and his girlfriend Hannah is normal-bodied, and she's just a normal girl, and they've been together for a long time. So they did a video about this, and you should definitely go watch it. It's very.
Do you remember the title of the video?
I don't remember the title, but it's one of the first ones you can find on Squirmy and Grubs. Because Dr. Phil contacted them and asked them to be on one of the episodes about interabled couples, like someone being disabled and one person not being, and there was another couple that was going to join them.
I think that would be a lot more convenient than having both of you have a disability, because then your partner could help you through life, like if you're in a wheelchair or something.
And like, and that's a really good point, because Sam doesn't know any of the story I'm about to say, but she already has the opinion that normal people should have.
Okay, that's good.
Like, the good opinion. So what happened, so they had never seen Dr. Phil before. And they were like, oh, we're excited, it's like a talk show. Like, they were thinking that it was a good thing. And, which it should have been. There's no problem with it. They're a happy couple. Like, they're a very normal couple. Shane's in a wheelchair, but that doesn't, like, do anything different.
Stop any romance from happening.
Yeah, exactly. They did a whole, like, SBSK video about that, too, the special books for special kids.
That's something I've been curious about, like, how that
They did a whole video about it, like, you know,
and that's not
giving
something you can
information.
ask people,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Like, oh, I see her in a wheelchair. Like, how do you have sex?
Exactly.
Like, you can't just ask people that.
That's a really good point. They did a whole video about that, too, that you guys should check out. So Dr. Phil contacted them, saying, you know, we have another interabled couple with a man in a wheelchair still, like the same situation that we're bringing on the show, and they have a very, like, dysfunctional relationship right now. And they showed them clips that they filmed of this couple, and they showed it to Squirmy and Grubs. And, like, the guy's in a wheelchair, but he, like, spit on his girlfriend, and they were fighting and screaming at each other, and she was just, like, angry, and, like, it wasn't about the disability.
They were not unstable relationship.
Yeah, they were not compatible, and they were fighting, and it was not a healthy, it was a very toxic relationship, regardless of being interabled or not.
That wasn't even part of it.
Yeah, no, but Dr. Phil made it about being interabled.
Oh, like he framed it that way? Oh my
God.
And
he was going to he said that, or whoever the manager or whatever, told them that they wanted to bring them on to give advice to this other couple. So, after they filmed the portion of the video where Shane and Hannah weren't in it yet, they sent them some of the footage, and then they saw the aired episode after they made it, and they declined. They didn't go on the show. And they showed the footage and how they kind of, like, staged it to make it about being interabled. And then at the opening of the show, Dr. Phil comes out and says, he takes a poll from the audience. He says, however he says, they have, like, their devices that they put their poll in. Mm-hmm. He was like, how many of you would date someone who was, or how many of you would be a caregiver, maybe? What? Or how many of you would date someone where you had to, or be in a relationship with someone where one person was a caregiver? And then the next question was, how many of you would date someone in a wheelchair?
That's not the same.
And then they were like, "Oh," the whole audience said, like, it was like the clapping, the aw, like how they trigger that with the applause or whatever.
There's like
everyone
probably a big sign.
Oh, yeah, and everyone made that noise, and it was like 20% of the audience said that they would date someone in a wheelchair.
But being a caregiver and being in a wheelchair are completely different.
Yeah.
Like, just because someone's in a wheelchair doesn't mean they require a caregiver. They can live on their own.
Exactly.
They just need a ramp,
Yep.
really.
But so 50% of the audience said that they would date someone with a caregiver, and 20% said that they would date someone or 50% said in a wheelchair, 20 for a caregiver. And so basically the whole show happens. They frame it about being interabled, all this stuff, like clearly not the right information to give to people who don't know better. And then at the end, Dr. Phil ends the show by saying 100 out of 100 relationships that involve someone being a caregiver will fail. It's impossible
really
to have
messed up.
a relationship with a caregiver. Because sometimes partners are caregivers.
That's like
That's
enforcing segregation.
Fucked up thing I've ever heard. And people went nuts on him.
Good.
All the interabled YouTube channels that are out there went nuts on him. I watched someone named Amy's Life. She's another YouTube channel, and she has EDS and some of the same conditions I have. Yeah. Her and her boyfriend have been together for 8 years, I think. And he's been her caregiver that whole time, and they're very happy.
I've been friends with someone for 8 years. We've only known each other for like 6.
Yeah, but I mean, and they've been happy. They've been in a happy relationship, and he is her caregiver. Like,
I think I wouldn't mind. I think that could be
Dr.
cute.
Phil is the most.
Like, even if I have to feed them, that would be so cute.
Like, that was the other thing. There's another YouTube channel called Rolling with Cole. He has a complete spinal cord injury. He is paralyzed.
Like, he can't use his arms?
He can barely move his arms. He can't really
So he
lift
needs a
much.
caregiver.
Yeah. And his girlfriend is a normal abled girl, and she is mostly his caregiver. She does transfers for him,
I
getting
can
on the
see
bed.
why that
But
would be
they're also in
stressful
a
for people,
relationship.
but if it doesn't bother you, then what's the
you
problem?
like, you know what you're signing up for.
Yeah,
if
like,
you
you're
know
not
that
gonna
you
get into a long-term relationship with someone and know that they require extra assistance and then get upset about it later down the road. Like, you are aware of this from day one.
And then if you know that you can't do that and you still want to make it work, you can hire a caregiver.
Like,
you can
don't have to
hire
play
help.
that role, yeah.
You can, like, there's definitely, it's not just like, this is the one way to do this is the only way you could do it. Anyway, so, Rolling with Cole,
as per Dr. Phil's advice.
they did a video about it where, actually, maybe it was Squirmy and Grubs. I don't remember who said it, but they're like, if I'm sitting on the couch with my partner or watching a movie, I can't give my partner a piece of popcorn because they want to eat popcorn while we're sitting watching a movie, but I can't be a caregiver.
That's unstable.
Yeah. And so Dr. Phil told the girl from, like, this couple that they brought onto the show that were, like, toxic. She said, you can either be in a relationship with him or you can be a caregiver. Pick one or the other, but you can't be both, and you need to tell me right now.
That's really messed up.
On live TV. What the fuck? It's just, and then, so Squirmy and Grubs, like, obviously kind of opened their, not their doors, but they're like, you know, we have our information. If you ever come across this, we're more than like, willing to give you advice or talk to you and try to give you some advice on interabled relationships, just not through Dr. Phil, because of the way they made it. Like, they completely made it about being disabled, like, being the problem, you know what I mean? So it's really funny that you brought that up, because, like...
It's completely personal, though. Like, even if...
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with, like, as a whole, like, it's fine to be a caregiver, or, like, it's horrible to be a caregiver. Like, it really just depends on the relationship and the position you're in. Like, everyone's life is different. You have different feelings and views and schedules, and, like, maybe you literally cannot be a caregiver to someone because you work all the time.
Mm-hmm. Like, that's the other thing. Shane and Hannah were just talking about, is, like, situations where Hannah goes to work, and she has to come home for her lunch break to help Shane go to the bathroom. And then go back to work.
People wouldn't want
exactly.
To do that
and then sometimes if she can't, they have a neighbor that'll check on him. They have a nurse that can check on him, like an on-call person. Like, there's other options if you can't help someone as much as you need, like, you feel like you need to because of your other life obligations. And obviously, like, your relationship should be kind of priority, or someone's life should be your priority, maybe, aside from relationship.
If it's a serious relationship.
Yeah. Like, that's the other thing Shane and Hannah also just did it. I keep, like, mentioning it. They just did a thing where she almost drowned Shane in a
Oh
pool.
my God, what?
Because she had explosive diarrhea. They went and had seafood, and she was sick, and he can't swim on his own, but he had a floaty. So she put him in the water, and he was floating and fine.
She was in the bathroom.
And she had to go to the bathroom and leave him in the pool. And she said, luckily there was a window, like, right out of the window, like, right outside. And, I mean, it was a funny story. They were laughing. Yeah. But she was like, you know, obviously...
At the time, it was frightening.
Yeah.
It was funny.
And she was like, well, obviously, I knew that I wasn't going to let you die. I would have run out there in whatever state I was in to save you. But...
Diarrhea is
like,
spewing everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, you have to, aside from relationship, it's like someone's life, relationship, work, like, life obligations, you know what I mean? So, like, there's definitely ways to make it work. I don't think that being a caregiver has anything to do with the longevity of your relationship with someone. You can also be a caregiver for someone that you know on a more personal level. Like, yeah, you can also be a caregiver for someone on a more personal level, even if you're not in a relationship.
No,
if you had a complete spinal injury
got in a car accident
and you were paralyzed,
from the neck down.
I would help take care of
Honestly, if that happened to me, okay, this is gonna get
Don't say you're gonna kill yourself, because you're gonna get so pissed.
I know, that's what I'm about to say, because the thing is, in my state, I would think that's my first course of action, right? But at the same time, people live their entire lives with spinal injuries like that, and they're fine, and they're happy, and they're great. So the thing is, I would probably, like, give myself some time to, like, live with it, and then make my decision whether or not I want to ask someone to assist me with suicide. Because, like, what if
you
it
can
turns out
always be happy?
I already have horrible depression, though.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, I don't need anything else added on to my life. It's been, I've gone through enough.
I'm not gonna say the lady, because I feel like this is kind of personal, even though it's out in the open. She has a partial spinal cord injury. She broke her back, but she can move, like, from her chest up, her arms and stuff.
If I could move my arms,
from
I think I'd be
a
fine.
suicide attempt.
Oh.
She tried to kill herself and ended up paralyzed.
Oh my God.
I don't know, like, the details or anything. But, obviously, like, imagine how that plays on your psyche. Like, and then she...
It's like a constant reminder of that day.
And now, she said, you know, like, obviously, she regrets that, but at the same time, she's like, in a weird way, it made her just appreciate everything she had so much more, even though she was so depressed and, like, unwilling to live then. Now she has, like, the will to live now because of, it's almost like a second chance, but always with a reminder of the mistake, you know?
Yeah. Like, that reminds me of, like, I've been... You know, this podcast is getting kind of dark. Usually they're
we're like not laughing.
But I'm about to talk about some mental problems.
I'm about to talk about some mental illnesses. Yeah. Prepare yourself.
I have depression. That's, you know, duh. But I've been at the point where I wanted to kill myself before. I've never made a suicide attempt, but I've been in that state of mind. And it's dark. It's like, it's selfish and horrible. And every time I come out of that state of mind, I have, like, a feeling of relief that I didn't go through with it, because I realize, like, little details in life that mean so much to me, like, different smells and colors that I love, like, just little things like that.
Mm-hmm. And then when you're, like, so down,
I'm not dead.
and when you're just so, like, you're so down in the dark of, like, the deepness of that state, you don't, like, that doesn't matter anymore until you get out of it, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I get to be here for this stuff.
Nothing matters except I want to die. That's all I know to be true right now, and that's all that matters. And that's why it's so selfish. Like, and I can say that because I've been there, I guess, because it is. I mean, as horrible as it is to go through, it's very selfish.
Yeah, like, you don't care about
yourself.
You don't really care about how much your family's going to miss you in the
Everyone
moment
will be affected. Even if you think no one will care if I die, there's going to be that one person that is completely devastated. Even if it's just your secret stalker that you don't know about.
I would die?
I'm talking about other people that they think there's absolutely
Plus,
no
not even, like, people who are genuinely affected. It's a tragedy that affects a whole community, even if they're not really, like, personally affected. Like, wow, you know, that girl killed herself. Like, it's a town thing that people talk about.
God,
you know, we live in a small town.
And then everyone blames themselves. Like, I never even spoke to them. Like, what's wrong with me? I'm an asshole. And then you're
like,
always going to affect somebody.
We have a little, like, sign on our wall in the dining room that says, like, enjoy the little things in life, because soon enough you'll realize that they were big things, or something along those lines.
That's what she said.
I cannot believe you just made a dick joke in the middle of talking about suicide.
It was too easy. Come on, little things.
I've been
things.
farting for a solid 2 minutes.
Maybe it's not my feet that smell. No, it's definitely my feet, but now maybe it's a combination. This room is rank.
From us.
And, like, there's boxes and dust.
I don't know why I'm so gassy. Have you ever had just, like, a long kind of continual, like, just for, like,
Speaking
ever?
of that, coffee is a laxative.
Oh, I was gonna say, do you have to poop right now? We have to pause it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'll be fine for the next... We have, like, 5 minutes left, because she said 30 minutes, and it's at 25 right now. In 4 seconds, it'll be at 25 minutes. 2, 1. Oh, no, I was late. Whatever.
Well, it's almost 12:30, but we'll leave it, like, 12:40.
We're getting really personal in this podcast. I just realized that. I'm, like, opening up to strangers that I've never met before.
I know.
Like, very... Because I'm talking
no
to
one,
you.
their face isn't there. You can't feel judged. It's crazy.
I really hope we have regular listeners. I know the average watch time is 2 minutes, but if there's at least just one person out there watching all of these, I love you so much.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
Like, obviously, we're very new. We've only put out a little bit. Or, like, we have, like, what was it, like 15 views on
So maybe there is that one person that actually watches us.
Yeah.
You're amazing and perfect.
This has been more of, like, a serious episode, but I feel like it gives people
We've
a
had
chance
a serious
to...
episode before, so
Yeah,
I like it.
I feel like it gives people a chance to see us how we are when we're not just goofing around,
Yeah.
too. Like, we actually have personalities, and we're, like, we have...
Surprisingly.
Like, we can talk
human
about
beings.
serious topics. Oh, of course, my alarm goes off right as we're filming. Every time my phone rings or my alarm, I gotta remember to silence it next time.
Oof.
Sorry, I lifted my leg.
No, that was me.
Oh, great.
It
We're
was
just-
probably both of
Just
them
mingling.
combining. Yeah.
There's a green cloud.
Air fronts meet in fart tornado form.
I was gonna say how we start a hurricane in this room.
I wouldn't mind that. I'd be like, oh god, it smells so bad.
fart
but
hurricane?
Isn't this amazing? Like, because it's never happened in history.
And
It's
just
a
like
little
brings up all the
tornado
dust. It's just
Yeah.
shooting around.
I would be so happy, like, and proud of my bowels. They have undetected power inside of them.
Yeah, I ate broccoli last night and ice cream, and then the day before that, I had this crazy diarrhea because I ate more ice cream and
Is
like
that all
an
you
entire jug of
'Cause
cheese
I know
balls.
last night you're like, I want ice cream, and you would go through a lot of ice cream, man. I swear.
Like, that's weird. That's another
90%
thing.
of your
So, when I was a kid, or really up until about now in my life, I've never understood when people say something is too sweet, or, like, eating too much sugar. I've never, like, felt like that.
Until recently.
Yeah, and now I feel like the only reason I feel like that, though, is because of my teeth. Like, my teeth
yeah.
are sensitive.
For
But
me,
I've
it's just
never,
the
like...
taste.
I'm never like, oh, I've had too much dessert. I need to, like, take a... Like, I never get that feeling. So
I've
it's
gotten that way
weird.
with mint candies. I don't get that way with anything except mint chocolate candies, like Junior Mints or York peppermints.
You mean
or
like on
things.
your teeth with this?
No,
with
it's
the
in my
syrup?
stomach. If
Oh.
I eat a lot of mint candies, it's usually those mint M&Ms. I'll eat a whole bunch of those, and I just don't feel well physically. Like, I feel a little bit nauseous.
I mean, I know eating candy until you get sick. Like, sometimes you're like, oh, I've eaten so much, like, sweets, but I don't know. I don't, like, usually within moderation, quote unquote, for my, like, I was gonna say my body type, but just, like, my body.
For my body type, crippling, falling
Yeah.
apart, you know.
Like, you would think that I'd have more
Organ
issues
failure.
with that, but I really can't function without a lot of sugar, like candy specifically, because, I mean, I know that I'm, like, addicted to sugar, but...
You need to have one thing that you can latch on to, at least. I mean, you deserve it.
Aw, thanks. But, like, I've never
If I
understood...
went through what you went through physically and emotionally, I would just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna eat as much candy as I can.
Yeah, I used to make these meringue cookies. It's like egg whites
Those
and
are
sugar.
so good.
They're like
oh my god.
they're almost like they're super light. They're like they
It's
weigh
like a
nothing.
big chocolate chip of fluff.
Yeah, and they're solid. It's almost like styrofoam, but they're
Yeah.
real crunchy and just like
That
kind of
makes it
chewy
sound
inside.
very gross, but
But
they're
it's
good,
super
yeah.
good. You've probably heard of like lemon meringue pie, but it's usually not like cooked meringue on top.
Yeah,
That's
usually
like
it's
liquid.
whipped cream that's browned or something.
Yeah, but so I used to make like real meringue cookies, and I'd make like
Sterilizing everything with vinegar and whatever.
yeah, like I was really into it. And when you make a batch of that, like obviously egg whites like, expand when you put air into them, so you make a lot at once. I'd eat, like, a batch of meringue cookies every day for a while.
You'd have a huge bag of them and just...
Yeah, and, like, I gave one, when I first started making them, I'd give a couple to my stepdad, and he would eat them, and he was just like, oh my gosh, it's so much sugar. Like, he acted like it was insane.
They are really sweet.
And, geez, I don't want to eat sugar for a week after this or something like that, and, like, it doesn't faze me. I don't know.
Exposure
like
therapy,
sweet is sweet, I guess, to me. Like, sweet is sweet, whether it's a little bit sweet or a lot of it sweet. It's just
doesn't bother you either
sweet.
way.
Yeah, like I used to eat packets of sugar when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
And it makes me wonder why we're not the same way with salt. Like salt and sugar being, I guess, well, sugar comes from a plant, but
plus sugar's addictive, and I don't think salt is. Like sugar.
I don't know. My mom used to eat rock salt, and she looked like she was on crack.
Really?
Because she had an
Pretty
iron.
Sure it was salt.
she
used to have these rocks, and she'd smoke them, and you know it was salt. She told me it was salt. She looked like she was on crack, but like it was salt.
No, it was pink Himalayan rock salt, big chunks,
nice.
and she would put it in these little tiny baggies with like
chew on it.
Yeah, because she had an iron deficiency, and I guess that's what made her crave salt so much. And after she had iron infusions, her cravings went away.
That makes sense, because I chew on ice, because I have low iron and potassium. So I, like, bite ice.
Yeah, or like pica, where people, like, want, like dirt. And
dirt, yeah.
She has pica, too.
Oh,
so
wow.
she used to eat, like, chalkboard chalk.
I think I used to have that, because when I was a kid, I loved eating paper. You remember that?
Oh my gosh, yeah, we ate paper. You got me
ate a
into
lot
eating
of
notebook
paper.
paper because I thought it was cool.
I thought it tasted good. I liked the texture of it, even though it had a lot of bleach in it. So, you know, that might have messed with my head.
I ate so many pencil erasers when I was a kid.
The first time I ever wanted to do drugs was when that police officer came into school for the DARE program. And
That's the first time you wanted to do drugs?
Yeah, and we put on the beer goggles. I really wanted to get drunk.
Oh, because you're like, this is what it feels
like. I was like, this is so cool.
Not what being drunk feels like at all.
Speaking of the DARE program, it's a complete failure for that reason. I mean, I didn't even know about, like, what weed was until that. Like, I thought it was, like, because the only time I'd heard the word weed was in reference to, like, garden weeds. And then, marijuana, weed, pot, whatever, dope. And then I'm like, oh, that's what it is. It's a drug. And then I'm like, what? Like, I didn't know what a drug really was. Like, medicine, and then it makes you feel funny and good, but it's really bad for you. Because I'm
gonna go off on that for a minute. So, like, our podcast is called DD-SOOS, Do Drugs and Stay Out of School.
Yeah.
There's a reason it's called that. Neither of us are in school, and don't mistake the do drugs part. We're not saying, like, go fucking on the street and, like, buy meth from this guy, Like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about medicinal marijuana, specifically, and pretty much only.
Like, the law doesn't dictate morality when it comes to drugs,
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, everything is illegal, and that doesn't mean it's bad for you.
Also, keep in mind, we live in a rural area of Ohio.
Yeah,
we don't live in, like,
this
Colorado.
Isn't California
We're
like,
it's
just,
a lot more
products of our environment.
Yep,
like,
it's
I
a
was
lot more strict here.
Hardened-bred Mormon. Like, my whole, like, my ancestors are pioneers Mormon.
For, like, the rest of America who doesn't really understand, like, the culture of, like, rural areas like Ohio, it's not country, it's not necessarily, like...
It's suburbia.
Kind of, yeah, like, think, like, Utah. That's kind of...
maybe not that bad.
Maybe not that bad, but, like...
Like, we do live next to Michigan, but...
Yeah.
It's not, like, Kentucky, but it's not Michigan. It's in the middle.
Yeah, kind of, because I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and you're originally from California, but from, like,
I was
Kentucky.
born there, but I'm not from there.
But you were raised...
Ohio,
How old were you when you moved from Kentucky?
I wasn't even... when I was in Kentucky, I lived there for about 4 or 5 years. Well, I moved around in Kentucky a lot, so I'd say about, like, I don't know, I lived there for a while. Then I moved up into Cincinnati. And
I forgot you guys lived in Cincinnati.
Between Cincinnati, Campbell County, and Fort Thomas, and like those are all really close to each other.
We have some family that lives right next to Louisville in Kentucky.
Oh, nice. And I was never in that area. But.
It's a really, like, it's so weird how places change and cultures change as soon as you go across the state line.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, like, because Kentucky isn't necessarily like Kentucky's country, and there's definitely country portions. It's like country, but it's almost
Kentucky,
like
so.
Think like Wally. That's kind of what Kentucky looks like in some places.
Oh, yeah, like just bunches of trash on the side of the street.
And it's kind of just like dry, deserted, but not like country hick town type thing either. You know what I mean?
Down in the south of Kentucky.
Yeah. That's more like, you know.
That's when it's like kind of swampy. And
but
like,
up in like the city, it's kind of just a normal city, but it's hot and like hazy because it's so warm. Kind of like, I've never been to Texas, but like kind of how I would imagine Texas is.
Like,
yeah.
I've been to Florida, so yeah, I mean, you're on point there.
And it's very dry in Kentucky because, I mean, humid, but like, there's no ocean in Kentucky, so you don't have
not
like
even the Great Lakes.
The breeze. Or, exactly. It's like surrounded by land. And it's like the art capital of the United States, right, or something.
Wow. I didn't even know that, and I lived there most of my life.
Because the area that we go to visit is Berea, which is the art capital. Capital.
A lot of art there.
Capital, is that the right word?
Yeah, capital.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that reminds me when Angie asked me if it's called an explanation point or an exclamation point, and I was really stoned and I didn't know what she was asking me, because she's just like, is it explanation point or exclamation point? And I'm like, explanation? And she's like, okay. And I'm like, wait, no, that's not right. Yeah.
That's funny. That's the weird, wow, that's a deep question.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It wasn't, it was just confusing and scary.
Blown.
Yeah. This Greek woman is asking me how to speak English, and I don't know how.
But like we're saying, living in like this suburbia, like this normal place, it's kind of just like soccer moms and cornfields, and like
everyone's dad is a gym
weird
teacher.
Cults. Yeah.
There are like the End Times Church right down my street where they scream about the end of the world.
What the fuck? Yeah, it's
and
so
everyone's
weird.
just like, praise Jesus, the world is burning.
There's a church close to us that like it has an electric billboard right out front, but it always has quotes that make no sense.
What's one of them?
Like, I'm trying to think of how it was. It was like, if a man is atop of mountain without effort, does he bow before the Lord or bow before himself? Or something like that. And I was like, what?
Like, if he's very powerful, like, is he
guess.
God?
Or,
What?
like, how is that supposed to lure people into come to... Most people's billboards say, like, I don't know, blessed be the fruit, hands raised, like, come to service on Sunday. Like, this Sunday, 10 to 3's Bible study. Like, it has stuff, it doesn't say anything. It's literally just a weird-ass Bible quote that doesn't make any sense. And it's not even usually, like, Bible, like, it's not like a verse. It's just
something the
like
pastor
weird,
came up with.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what? And every time we pass there, it's something different. We'll pass it when we take you home today, because it's, like, up kind of that way, I think. Weird. It's, like, right by Family Video, but there's just, it's right by the train tracks,
like
kind
by
of.
the bar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just so, every time we pass it, we're like, what does that mean?
That's another thing about Ohio. We have very lax drinking laws here, so everyone's super religious and alcoholics.
What the fuck? Oh my god, we're the weirdest
area. Some people see beer as, like, not alcohol here. It's just, like, another drink.
People will have, like, 2-3 beers while they're out at dinner with their family and drive home, and they're
ridiculous. Fine. Yeah, like, they're literally alcoholics in denial, like, most of the population here. It's crazy. Like, I saw shit at Walmart last night, like, I can drink, like, 5, like, beers, like, it's oxygen or whatever, like, what's your superpower? And then it was, like, an empty beer bottle, like, what the fuck?
That was on her shirt?
It was at Walmart,
Oh my gosh.
And I pointed that out to Em, and I was like, that's just encouraging alcoholism.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I get that people like to drink sometimes and have fun and whatever.
Like, that's not a problem, but it is for a lot of people here. Like, we're not over-exaggerating.
It's not like people are drinking responsibly, even though you really can't, like, drink responsibly when you're under the influence, but, like, in moderation.
Drunk if you just have, like, a glass of wine.
Yeah, not to mention, if you're, like,
But if you plan on getting drunk, then, like, you're probably gonna do something dumb, even if it doesn't affect your life at all.
Well, plus, like, if you're at home and, you know, you, like, you have, you know, 2 glasses of wine, feeling a little bit, I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
And, like, you have a normal night.
That's drinking responsibly.
Yeah, that's responsible. If you go out and drink, like, fucking 4 shots and 2 beers and then try to ride a motorcycle home, you're an idiot. And that's what people do here.
So many DUIs.
Like, so many DUIs.
Like, people in my family having DUIs.
It's ridiculous. Like, I myself am, like, kind of against drinking, almost, I mean, I don't want to say it all because I know that there are some people who do it well, but I also, like, there's no health benefits to drinking. It's going to cause you
like, what
health
about
problems.
the antioxidants in wine? Like
Eat a fucking
fruit.
blueberry.
Yeah.
Like, and move on, you know?
Shut up about antioxidants. They don't
like,
only exist in red wine.
Yeah, really. Like, eat a raspberry and a handful of kale, and you'll be good for, like, the next 10 years. Maybe not that much, but you know what I mean. Like,
a single blueberry will sustain you for your entire lifespan.
Well, because they're like, oh, a glass of wine keeps the doctor away. And I'm like, no, a glass of wine a day is going to give you liver cancer by the time you're 26.
Well, maybe not that extreme, but...
Yeah, but I mean, like,
maybe a bottle
it's
wine.
obviously not doing anything good for you,
No.
you know?
Like, you
Yet
can
at the
drink
same
responsibly,
time-
but don't pretend like you're doing yourself a favor.
Yeah,
for
I
anything.
know. Like, so for me, like, I don't drink, one, because I can't because of, like, my health and medicine and all that
it's
stuff.
also illegal.
Well, it's illegal, but, like, I wouldn't even if I was a healthy person, just
Yeah.
because, like, why? Like, I myself don't see the point, but I also
And
not,
that's a
like, in the
legal
habit of
drug
drinking.
that, like, you don't want to consume.
Exactly. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that. Like, cigarettes and alcohol are legal.
Yeah.
Anyone can have access to them.
And they're, like,
They're
the most
available.
unhealthy drugs.
They are
for
what
you.
kill people.
Yeah. Like, I'd say cigarettes are on par with, like, Coke, probably. They're basically just as
for
addictive.
sure. Yeah.
They have just as much health problems.
Find me one cancer patient who has a tumor that has particles from weed in it. Find me one person. And then go to someone who has, you know, I don't know, stage 4 lung cancer from smoking a pack a day for
Well, actually, if you do smoke
bunch of
cigarettes
years.
and weed, it's really, really bad
yeah,
for
it's
you.
really bad. Yes?
I think that showed up in the
Gollum. Yeah, no, it'll show
It's
up in
quarter to
here.
1, everybody.
Okay, we'll be out in a minute.
Yeah, but Jolie, your appointment's at 1.
I know.
Let's wrap this up. Yeah.
Okay,
We're 40 minutes in.
Excuse my mother barging in.
Oh, she's fine. She's a sweet lady.
She is a sweet lady. She's like, it's quarter to 1. Get your shoes on.
Have to go to therapy.
Aw, you put it out
I
there.
go to therapy. It's good for you. Everyone should go to
It's
therapy.
good for
Even if
you.
don't have depression.
It's
good
good
to
for
get
the
things
both
off your
of
chest.
us.
Yeah. Go to
Okay.
therapy, everybody.
Anyway,
won't
so this
regret
was a not that funny episode, but
No,
there
it's
you
very
go.
serious, but I don't mind because it was a fun conversation.
It was a good
And
conversation.
I hope you guys enjoyed listening, or you guy, if there's only one of you. But
You
I
guy or
appreciate
girl
you
or
very much.
Transvestite or whatever.
Yeah, whoever you are, whatever you identify as.
Alright, you can find us at DD-SOOS podcast anywhere that you get podcasts, Spotify, iTunes. We're on Anchor, that's our biggest supporter.
Apple
I would go.
Podcasts,
yeah.
SoundCloud, Spotify.
Yep, we're everywhere.
Sometimes there's
YouTube.
little clips on Instagram, so that's cool.
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at
Oh, wow.
DD-SOOS. And on Twitter, I believe it's DD-SOOS1, maybe?
Is there already a DD-SOOS on Twitter?
I don't know, but I feel like it was, and I was like, oh, I'll just make a DD-SOOS1.
We gotta find them. We gotta steal their account. Be like, please, can I have the information? I'll trade you.
Yeah, so you can find us anywhere you want. Sometimes we post on YouTube. We'll be posting more soon. So stay tuned, and bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.